What's up, everybody? This is Trey Biddy with hogsports.com. That's HAWG sports.com. Eric Musselman to Arkansas is the strong rumors from strong sources coming out today. Nothing official on that yet, but it certainly looks like that is the case. We're going to talk about Musselman today. We're going to talk about his recruiting prowess with Danny West. He's going to join us. We'll dive into this spring game a little bit also and talk a little bit of recruiting stuff, but mainly today's show is about Eric Musselman. It's happening all on Hog Sports Live. All right, so word started leaking out a little bit last night that there would be a press conference today announcing Eric Musselman as the head coach at Arkansas. And then of this morning, of course, with Evan Daniels of 24/7 Sports reporting his sources are saying that it's going to be Eric Musselman. Some other reporters have also said that. These guys coming out of Minnesota where the Final Four is taking place. So that's where all the smoke is really coming from. Now, I made a post last night on it, just asked what my thoughts are on the coaching situation right now. And the only guy that makes any sense is Musselman at this point. I mean, sure, do they want to talk to Chris Beard? Do they want to feel him out? Is there a lot of smoke around that in terms of him being interested in Arkansas? Maybe. You know, there's agents involved, so it's hard to say all that. But the further he advanced in the NCAA tournament, the less likely that looked possible. It just didn't seem realistic. I don't doubt that they had reached out to Kelvin Sampson. I had very strong sources on that they were in some kind of talk. I'm not saying they ever offered him the job, but they were in some kind of talk with Kelvin Sampson about the open position. There's been reports that the deal breaker on that was that he wanted his son named interim head coach or head coach in waiting. I don't believe that to be true. I think that was just a little bit of sugar from Houston, and I have pretty strong sources that indicate that really did not come up a lot. Greg Marshall stuff, I think that possibly had legs also. I think it did have legs. But really, when you broke it down, when you looked at it piece by piece, the Musselman hire is the only one that made sense. Let's look at his background just a little bit here. Obviously, we know he was a two-time NBA coach with the Golden State Warriors 2002 to 2004. He was with the Sacramento Kings from 2006 to 2007, so he's got an NBA background. Now, as far as this roster, when you look at what he's done at Nevada, he's a guy that brings in grad transfers. He looks at grad transfers as free agents, basically, as he did in the NBA. He looks at as incoming recruits as draft picks. So that's his philosophy on things. He may have to adjust things a little bit at Arkansas because you obviously want to build up through the high school ranks and some junior college stuff too, and don't want to have a whole lot of guys sitting out. But he has done a great job in that regard. He's also been an assistant at Arizona State. LSU, he's associate head coach from 2014 to 2015, so he knows the landscape of the SEC, so that's a benefit also. And his wife is into sports. His wife is in sports media also. So it just seems like it's a good fit. I mean, like I said, I was asked last night what my thoughts are on the whole thing, and my brain would not allow me to let the Chris Beard talk in there. It wouldn't allow me to let it in as much as people were telling me, yes, there's interest there. And I don't doubt that they were correct. But when you break it down, the guy that makes sense is Eric Musselman. So it hasn't been officially announced yet, but it is extremely strong sources that are saying Eric Musselman to Arkansas. So, again, like I said, it started last night. We're going to bring Danny West on here in a little bit, but this is your guy. Let me bring his picture up real quick. This is Eric Musselman. This is the guy that we believe will be the next head coach at Arkansas. Fiery attitude, strong X's and O's guy. Embraces social media. This is a guy that I don't think we realized quite how much lacking Arkansas has been in terms of embracing social media, getting their brand out there until Chad Morris came to Arkansas. When Chad Morris came to Arkansas, he really changed our perception of getting out in front of things and understanding how important your brand is. So Musselman apparently embraces all of that stuff. He gets it. Let's look at the file real quick. How do I have the file up on Eric Musselman? It's right over here, the Eric Musselman file. You can read all this on hogsports.com. Again, that's HAWG sports.com. Right now, the site is $1 for your first month if you want to sign up. There's no promo code. I also want to take this opportunity to go ahead and mention to like. If you haven't thrown us that thumbs up, go ahead and throw us a thumbs up, share the video, follow, comment. If you're listening on podcast, be sure to subscribe and throw us 5 stars. That helps us get our message out there. Only if you like it. If you don't like what we're doing, then don't throw us any stars. Don't throw us any thumbs up. Throw us a frown face if you want. But if you do like, it is important to get that message out for us. So Eric Musselman, 54 years old. Career record is 110-34 on the college level, 76.4% winning percentage. A $1 million salary reported. And we added him to the list on 3/27. That's when we added him to our coaching hot board. He took over Nevada in 2015 and led the Wolfpack to a 24-14 record in the CBI championship. The next season, they went 28-7 and landed in the NCAA tournament. His best season was 2017-18 when they went 29-8 and advanced to the Sweet 16. They did not go as far in this past season, but had their best regular season with 29-5 record after losing in the first round. His career record as a college coach, again, is 110-34. So that's the Eric Musselman file. We're going to talk a little bit about his recruiting prowess. Also, we'll also dive into a little bit of stuff from this weekend, as Arkansas football also had a big recruiting weekend too. So I'm sure some questions have started to build up here. Let's see. But he is killing the sports talk show game. I appreciate that, man. I wish what I could figure out is how to get these responses to stop rolling off the page so I could see everything. But so what do you guys think? Do you like the hire? Do you like the Musselman hire? Do you think it fits? Do you think it fits at Arkansas? There's some people, from what I can tell, some people like it. Some people are. There's a yawn on here. I don't see how this guy's going to be exciting. I think he's going to bring a lot of basketball knowledge to Arkansas, and hopefully, with his experience in the grad transfer game, he'll be able to bring in some guys that can help Arkansas next year. Stan Heath and John Pelfrey, says Robert Utley. I'm not sure what you're. So with Stan Heath, and I'm not sure what you're referring to. Like I say, guys, the comments are rolling off, unfortunately, and I'm not sure how to get out of that. Let's go ahead and bring in Danny West, actually. So Danny will talk a little bit of the recruiting side of things. Let me bring his graphic up here. We'll get Danny West in here. Just give me a second to get him on the horn. Danny West.
What's up, buddy?
Yo, Danny. So
what's happening?
It looks like this Musselman guy is going to be the hire. What do you think?
Oh, is that happening? Hey, I'm all for it, man. I think he's a great coach. A lot of people were talking about Greg Marshall. I felt like Musselman was the better hire. It's just, my opinion from afar. But
yeah, seems like a better fit.
Yeah, a better fit, and I don't know. I think people would enjoy his energy, kind of a breath of fresh air in that regard. I would imagine. So the track record speaks for itself, man. I think he's had 110 wins against 34 losses there. He's won 28 plus games in each of the last 3 years. That's really tough. So
I'll tell you this too, Danny. Going back to his NBA career, and this is John Langford has brought this up, but he's noted. I mean, we kind of look at his NBA career and you're like, it's not that impressive, But he was in 2002, 2003 the runner-up for NBA Coach of the Year to Greg Popovich. So that is notable. There's also rumors out there that he's going to bring Corliss Williamson with him. He's tied to Corliss Williamson also. That would be pretty incredible if that happens. So
yeah.
I think it's an interesting hire. I think we were talking earlier about his experience with the grad transfer market and how he could possibly use that and maybe transform Arkansas's roster a little bit here this offseason. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you would hope so because that's what they need right now.
Yes.
As you said, we've seen him do that at Nevada there, but he really needs to, man. I'm curious to see if maybe his signee that he's already signed for the 2019 class might follow him here. We've seen guys be able to get out of those letters of intent nowadays after a coaching change like that. So that's on the table possibly. So, and then from there, what are we talking about? 700 people are transferring nowadays.
It's a lot.
Surely you can 40%.
Yeah.
A couple of big men out there that are quality SEC caliber. I bet that's probably the way he's going to go.
Yeah. So, Danny, if you've got any advice on how to get the comments to stop rolling off so quickly, because we've got over 300 people on here again, and the comments roll off faster than I can get to them. What do I do? Help me out.
Speed up.
Go faster. Go faster. That's not
Go
gonna.
faster.
That's not gonna save me for what we've lost here yet. But we had a record the other day. I think when we were talking about the coaching search, and I think we've surpassed it again here with word of the Musselman hire. Again, Eric Musselman being reported as the next head coach at the University of Arkansas. That is unofficial. The University of Arkansas hasn't said anything yet. This is news that started breaking last night, that there would be a press conference today. Of course, it's the one day where we don't have anything going on, and they're going to hire a coach. I was supposed to go Easter egg hunting with my daughter at 2 today. I don't know if that's going to happen. A little early Easter egg. But so just a little bit more, Danny, what on his background as a recruiter. I know you wrote an article recently just on what he's done. Just kind of break down that for us, if you don't mind.
Well, that 2018 class is the one that sticks out, and obviously he signed a 5-star in that class. Jordan Brown was a power forward coming out of California. I think he had UCLA, Kansas, Gonzaga, Arizona, and the like as his offers there. And somehow, some way, Nevada signed him. Musselman signed him, and obviously that boosted their class. They had a really highly rated class by their standards that year. He also signed a 3-star forward in Vincent Lee, who became a pretty good player there. He turned down some good offers. KJ Himes, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but he turned down USC, Washington, Memphis, Missouri, all in that one 2018 class there. So I think he's proven, that he's able to recruit to Nevada. He should be able to recruit to Fayetteville. And then, of course, as we've already touched on, what he's done with the transfer, that's really where he set himself apart, in my opinion. I watched a video about him the other day, and man, he took the flag and ran with that. He welcomed that whole transfer deal with open arms. And I think you've got to nowadays. You got to be forward thinking, and there's so many out there. Why not? That old school way of thinking, well, we'll just get by and go the JUCO route. There's a lot of really good players transferring, man, and I think it's promising that he's kind of out front on some of that.
There's a lot of old school thinking out there, ideas like, well, we want to wait for him to get on campus before we offer him a scholarship. We want to do it face to face, and just a lot of this talk. And I'm not saying there's not some merit in that kind of stuff, but what do you think about this guy's embracing of social media? Embracing of young people. I mean, he's 54 years old. He doesn't come off of that. This is a guy that looks like he has an endless supply of energy, which I love. But I was talking earlier before we brought you on, Danny, just about not really realizing what all can be done in terms of embracing social media, getting your brand out there. I feel like this is a guy that's going to do that for Arkansas.
Look no further than the football department.
Yes.
I mean, it's night and day from what we were used to under Brett Bielema. Again, we're not going to sit here and bash Coach B, but for years under Bielema, I would say, man, I wish they would do more. You look around the conference with,
you never
A&M,
say that. You
Georgia.
never say that with Chad. There's never been a moment
right.
with this football staff where I've been like, man, why don't they just do this? I mean, it seems like it's right there, and we've been there so many times in the past with previous coaching staffs, but you don't see that with Chad, and I got a feeling that's going to be the same way with Muss.
Yeah, I do too. In fact, there's another video on YouTube where he kind of talks about the importance of social media. And the day Mike Anderson got fired, maybe the following day after they fired Coach Anderson last week or whenever that was, 2 weeks ago almost, I wrote something. I said, I don't care who they hire. I just hope he understands and appreciates social media and the importance of it nowadays. And sure enough, it seems to me they're getting a guy that does just that. So, yeah, I'm with you, man. At a school like Arkansas, and it's no different whether it's football, baseball, regardless of the sport, there's a gap that you've got to try to bridge somehow, some way. And a lot of times it comes down to common sense and just pure effort. We've seen that take place with the football program. And if this guy can come in and kind of be the equivalent of the Chad Morris approach in social media, for the basketball program, I think that's best case scenario.
Yeah. Danny West joining us here with hogsports.com. Again, if you haven't subscribed to hogsports.com, there's a lot of recruiting news coming out today. Of course, we'll be all over this basketball coaching search. I assume it's going to go official here, but there's just too much out there that's indicating that it's Eric Musselman from national media and such like that for this not to be true. Like I was saying, Danny, last night, I don't know if you saw it, but late last night, people are asking me my opinion on it. And, when you break it down, you do a little deductive reasoning. The only guy that was making any sense was Eric Musselman at this point. What I like about John Langford? He's always thinking what we're thinking, always a little out in front of us sometimes. But he mentioned, they signed the number one player out of California last year also, which is not an easy thing to do at Nevada. This year was their best year also. They didn't go to the Sweet 16 like they did last year. They lost in the first round, but they went 29-5 this year.
They stayed in the top 10 for like more than 3/4 of the season.
He got a vote for AP Coach of the Year also. There were people.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah, so hey, let's change gears real quick, Danny. I know that everybody wants to talk about basketball, but there was a big recruiting weekend this past weekend.
Yeah, they picked up their 4th commitment yesterday. We want to make sure we mention Mason Mangum, wide receiver out of Austin, Texas there, a kid that came up February 10th. He actually left town. I think they were really close to offering that day, and then I think Justin Stepp had to kind of work his numbers a little bit and make sure he had enough scholarships for this year's class at the receiver position, and sure enough, a few weeks later, he goes ahead and offers Mason. I felt really, really strongly about Arkansas's chances immediately just based on our conversations with Mason. And sure enough, they got him on campus again yesterday, and he went ahead and jumped on board. So that's number 4 in the boat. You've got official visitors leaving town today. We've already talked to 2 of them. Darius Snow, a 4-star safety of Carrollton, Hebron, Texas there outside of Dallas. And then Jalen Polk, a kid out of Lufkin, Texas, wide receiver. They're still in really, really good shape with Jalen. Could be just a matter of time, in my opinion. But seems like I've said that for about 2 months on him now, and he still hasn't made a move yet. So who knows? But they are still in a really, really good spot with Jalen at this point. And then, of course, throughout the day, we're going to be hearing from the other 3 guys, and I'm sure we'll at 1 o'clock, I'm supposed to do a couple more interviews with some guys. So outside of the basketball news, it's also pretty busy with football recruiting.
Danny, I've got a little breaking news here. Keith Grayson, our friend Keith Grayson, has unblocked me from Twitter. I'm no longer. He's added me to a group conversation. He says he's in Reno at the airport.
Yeah, you need to check out that video. So, not at the moment, but yeah.
So breaking news, Keith Grayson has unblocked me from Twitter. That's big. That's big for me. That's big for my personal brand.
Step in the right direction.
Big for my brand. So what did you think of the red-white game? I got to be honest, Danny, there wasn't a whole lot of flash to it. The guys that stood out are the guys that we weren't able to talk to afterwards in terms of Trey Knox having that big catch. I think, what did he have, 3 catches or something like that? But he had that huge catch where he got free of Jarquez McClellan, then shook Cameron Curl, and then outran Grant Morgan and bumper pull to the end zone. That's a guy that it takes one practice, and you're like, yep, he's got it.
Yeah.
One practice.
One look. He's a one-look guy for sure. And you know what? Those true freshmen, the early enrollees, in my opinion, were really the story of the day outside of the overall defensive effort. We saw the defense kind of set the tone early in that practice scrimmage, whatever you want to call it. But, you look at what not only Trey Knox, but Shamar Nash came away with a 45, 48-yard reception. Mateo, I think he had a sack and another TFL.
Mateo
Eric
Sully.
Gregory comes in. Yeah, he had 2 sacks yesterday. And, just really impressive to see what those guys bring.
They've got a lot of good young players in here. I mean, the 10 guys that they brought in, all of them have been really impressive, I think. You mentioned Eric Gregory and Soley. Gregory, as big as Gregory is, he still could add a little bit of strength. He's not gonna win out a one-on-one battle. In fact, I've actually seen it against Dalton Wagner. Mateo Soley, I view him right now as a third down pass rush specialist, and I think Gregory Brooks Jr. at nickel, you'll see him more on third down situation. You probably see
Trey, I didn't even mention Devin Bush having a pick six.
Yeah, Devin Bush had a pick six. He's running with the second
enrollee.
group. Those guys are there in part because they're thin in the secondary, but also because they are very talented. And them enrolling early, I think, is going to be a huge benefit. They need some help in recruiting in the secondary. But Greg Brooks, Devin Bush back there. I mentioned the two defensive ends. I think Zach Williams has a lot of promise. He just needs to get more aggressive. I think he's just kind of dealing with feeling his way around. He needs to get a little more aggressive, add a little bit more strength also. Then on the offensive line, of course, Myron Cunningham is probably going to end up starting at some point this season. Chibozie and Wana, we'll see where he goes, but he's done some good things too. So it's and then, of course, you get into quarterbacks. And Drew Vest has done some good things to walk on offensive linemen. But Ben Hicks, I think you see a lot of leadership with him. People are worried about the offense, and I think really when you break it down, you want the defense to be ahead, as I've said before. The defense is more of an attacking defense under John Chavis. They're going to come after you, pin their ears back, throw a lot of blitzes at you, whereas the offense is more about rhythm and timing, and you do have a new quarterback. And they have had their moments. They didn't show a lot of it on Saturday. Plus, they're a little bit handicapped because they're not going to show everything that they can do on offense. They did open things up a little bit more than they did the previous spring, where they did not have a single pre-snap motion or anything like that, and they actually did do some stuff in this one. But they also didn't have Cheyenne O'Grady, Rakeem Boyd, two of their bigger weapons. Mike Woods also a big weapon. And I think it's going to be interesting. Nick Starkel, who was there, watch him compete against Ben Hicks when fall camp starts also.
It's going to be fun. Yeah, I'm with you on that. And I'll tell you what's exciting. We're sitting here talking about all these brand new guys, Hicks and all the early enrollees. Mm-hmm. Yesterday, prior to the game, we're standing down on the field, and I told you to look over at that group. And who was in that group standing there? It was Hudson Henry, Traylon Burks, Torian Carter, Marcus Miller. I mean, what a good-looking group.
Yeah,
and
it was.
So those guys are still coming in. So Colin Clay was there looking like $1 million, man. That's quite a defensive line class, man.
Mm-hmm. Let's see what a couple of recent comments are. Cliff Morgan says, giving underachieving coaches to come to Arkansas for what our recruiting is. Oh, now he's cussing. We're going to have to ignore you, Cliff.
It's Sunday, man.
It's Sunday, bud. Cliff Morgan, you can't be on here just dropping S-bombs.
We're
going to ignore Cliff. He says, Cliff Morgan says, like, who going to – I gotta read this. Who going to come to Arkansas for Musselman? Never heard of him before now. I mean, I would argue that Cliff probably doesn't follow basketball very much if he's never heard of Musselman. He's been in the discussion pretty much since the coaching stuff came out. We had him on our very first hot board. Like I said, he's been an NBA head coach also and went to the Sweet 16. He was one of the hotter names in college basketball last year after leading Nevada to the Sweet 16. So, Cliff, the reason you've never heard of him because you're not paying attention, bud.
Somebody get Cliff some coffee, man.
Get some coffee, bro. I got my coffee. It's 11:25. I thought I was going to be able to sleep in a little bit this morning. Of course, that stuff started happening late last night. But I got my coffee going. Danny, I know you probably do too.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So, let's see. People, man, it's Sunday, people. It's Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are replying to Cliff.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
You can let those roll.
All right.
Just playing Cliff.
Too many people are stuck on Mike because we don't have a lot of. There's a lot of comments, but it's impossible to follow because we have so many people on here, Danny, that it's impossible to answer everybody's questions. So I'm just going to kind of abandon that, I guess. But we have gotten an absolute ton of comments on here today. I want to remind everybody to go ahead and throw us a thumbs up if you haven't done so already. Give us that thumbs up. Let us know you like the video. If you don't, then throw us a frown face. Let us know you don't like it. Be sure to share the video with your friends if you think they might like it. Follow the page if you've not done so already. Comment on the video. And if you're listening on podcast, be sure to throw us 5 stars and subscribe to the page if you like this comment. Leave us a review. We'd certainly like that. But I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up, Danny, because I can't think of anything we haven't really covered. We touched on the spring game. We didn't really talk about baseball, but they won 2-1 over Auburn, the series over Auburn. But everybody's...
That's big news, Trey. That was really impressive. I was worried about them.
Yeah.
They started to slide a little bit. Really impressive to lose that first game and come back down there and and take that series. I was really impressed. Maybe they're back on track now.
Yeah. How crazy was that Auburn-Virginia game? The basketball
Yeah.
game. I mean,
How are the?
Virginia was
Arkansas
up
fans have
10.
been there.
Auburn came racing back, and it was a foul. It was a foul. I mean, I can understand.
Absolutely a foul.
Yeah, I can understand people being upset with that, but it was a foul. The double dribble call, that was tough. I'm not sure that the ref from behind could have possibly seen that it actually kicked the guy's foot. That's a tough one. That's a tough beat, man. Losing on a 3-point shot from the corner.
Though, dude.
Oh yeah.
Hey, they dropped
We've been there.
that foul ball over there. I mean, hey.
That's why, there's all those
Arkansas
things
can
where
relate
you're
to
you're like wanting to say something, but you just don't because it hurts. I mean, man, it hurts.
Oh no,
something like that.
I had to poke a little fun.
I stayed away from it. I stayed away from it, man. I can't mess with people when something like that happens. It's too.
No.
Even if it's Auburn.
You kick them while they're down.
You kick it. That's the policy.
That's a fact of life.
That's a good policy. Kick them while they're down, while you're up. Yeah. Don't let them back up. I keep refreshing my page over here, waiting for Arkansas to announce something about this because they've got to give. If they have the press conference today, they've got to give Arkansas media enough time to get up here,
Sure.
from Little Rock. So it's at minimum going to be 3 hours, and I'm sure most people are, packing their bags, just waiting for that call. But nothing is official yet. Nothing is official on Eric Musselman to Arkansas, although we feel pretty strongly that is the case and that it will be Musselman. All right, so Danny, I feel like we've covered everything. I want to thank you for joining us here today. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap this sucker up. I'm sorry I wasn't able to get to everybody's questions. I'll try to dive in here at some point and respond to a few of these, but they rolled off the screen so fast. We had so many comments that it wasn't able to happen. So for Danny West, this has been Trey Biddy with hogsports.com, and we'll catch you next time.